You're listening to the Oklahoma OnStage podcast. We're glad you're here. Grab a drink and get cozy. The show starts now.
The lights come up, the stage is set. Oklahoma magic you won't forget. From small town plays to Broadway gleam, this is the theater lover's dream. We'll tell you tales from behind the scenes of scripts and stars and vivid dreams. From cowboys dancing in the golden sun to the final bow when the play is done. It's curtain call time, take your seat. Let's talk theater where art and hearts meet. A podcast world where stories ignite. Cue the spotlight, it's opening night. From Tulsa's charm to the plains so wide, theater blooms here with pride and stride. Costumes sewing, drama growing, every show an ember glowing. Whether your love's for scripts profound or musicals that shake the ground, Oklahoma stage is shining bright with every show under the moonlight. It's curtain call time, take your seat. Let's talk theater where art and hearts meet. A podcast world where stories ignite. Cue the spotlight, it's opening night.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Oklahoma OnStage. As always, I'm Tim, I'm your host, and today I just want to welcome you to our end of the year wrap up. As we wrap up 2025, head on into 2026, I just kind of wanted to take a moment to look back on the year that was for Oklahoma OnStage, talk about some of the things that we did, some of the people we talked to, some of the places that I was able to go to, and just kind of rehash some of that stuff and kind of lay out some groundwork about what we're going to see moving into 2026 with season 2. So there's not really a whole lot that's scripted about this episode. I've just got some notes that I put down, some things that I wanted to talk about, and let's kind of, walk back through just some of the things that, happened as we went through this year. I want to first start off by taking a moment to just say thank you to everybody who has listened, who has downloaded, who has supported this project that was really just a fledgling thing that started in 2025. Thank you. We would be nowhere without you. So to say that, we want to talk a little bit about the growth. We started this idea of Oklahoma OnStage. It actually came about back in January, February of last year. I was working on a show where we had a very large cast. I was actually in the production side of things instead of the stage side of things. I was backstage, and I was noticing that there were a lot of very talented people that weren't necessarily from the area that we were working in. We were in Oklahoma City, and not everyone that was part of the show was part of that was from Oklahoma City. And so the more I talked to people, the more I touched people, connected with people, I started realizing there were a lot of people from outside of Oklahoma City that nobody really knew who they were. I certainly didn't know who they were until that show, and they were very, very good. And so as I began to talk to more people and reach out beyond that show and the company I was working for, I started realizing that was kind of a going trend, that there were more and more people that were virtual unknowns in the theater community that weren't from Oklahoma City. And as I reached out beyond that, it was everywhere. And one thing that I noticed, and I looked at the trends and everything, it was, if you were not, say, a mainstay, you were not a big footprint, you were not a big player in either Oklahoma City or Tulsa, nobody really knew who you were. And that was only if you were constantly active, or you were involved in big shows, or you were one of the professional theaters. Nobody knew who you were. And so there was a lot of people that were virtual unknowns, and they were very, very good. And so as I began to talk with people, and the ideas began to bud that, man, there are stories here that need to be told. And so as I spoke with someone, I said, hey, wonder if there's a podcast about this sort of thing where people could tell those stories. And I began to look around, I began to research and ask questions. And there really wasn't. There wasn't a theater podcast in Oklahoma that focused on the theater community. And so I said, what would it hurt? I mean, we'll just try it out. What will happen? I had a little bit of experience doing podcasts. I had delved into it about a year before that, starting out on a leadership podcast that I had started after I graduated with my MBA. And that didn't quite take off quite like I wanted it to. So, but I understood a little bit about it, and I understood a little bit how to get it going. And so I thought, well, I could take this upon myself just to see what would happen. But I needed to kind of get the groundwork going before then. And so I started as soon as the show was over, and began to do the footwork during the month of March. I started to, through my connections and just reaching out through Facebook, started to put this word out that, hey, we'd like to get this thing going. We'd like to get something started. And I can tell you, and I've shared this with several people as we've done interviews and things like that. In that first week that I started putting this out back in March, that we were going to be doing this, in the first week, I had over 50 theaters signed up to be a part of the Oklahoma OnStage community. I was floored. I didn't even know Oklahoma had 50 theaters at a period, let alone, that would be a part of this. So I was just floored, like I said. So I continued reaching out, just to see where it would go, how big this would go. I can tell you right now, the last check, we were setting over 130 theaters in the Oklahoma OnStage network. Now, that includes universities, that includes academies, that includes high schools, but primarily community theaters from across the state, places that I didn't even know had theaters. And I was just amazed by it, and I was floored by it. So we began this thing, launched the first weekend in April. We dropped that first episode, the first Friday in April. Was very, unsure about what would happen. Who knew, where it would go, what, anything. So we just started doing it. I was like, okay, I'll do one episode every other week. We'll see where the traction gets, see who I can reach with that. I put some feelers out, who wanted to be a part of it. I started getting some contacts and stuff, and I decided, hey, let's see how we're going to do with this before we just blow it up. And I started the first couple of episodes doing Zoom interviews where I would just connect with them remotely. And the first episode the first interview that I did was with Joe Mann down in Ardmore. And I'm going to tell you, I mean, everywhere I go, give a shout out to Joe, and the job that she has done down there in Ardmore. She was putting on the show MASH, which I was a big fan of, the TV show growing up as a kid, and so I was really excited about that anyway. But just talking to her, couldn't have been a better first interview. She helped me kick this thing off. And Joe, thank you. you were just a gem to interview and to talk to. And even the times that we've met after that, I went down to Ardmore. I've seen a couple of shows down there now. Really enjoyed my time down there. The people that I've met have just been phenomenal. Have made some good friendships down there. And so, I'd like to say most of the contacts that I made have become, lasting friendships, I think. But yeah, I've got some of my best supporters down in Ardmore. And so I thank Joe for kicking things off. That was the first weekend in April. Things have been growing and going ever since. We want to talk about growth starting at 0 that first weekend in April to now, the end of December. That's April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. 9 months, okay? 9 months. And in 9 months, we are just over 1,400 downloads for the podcast. I'm flabbergasted, bewildered. I never would have thought we would see numbers like that at all. And so we started seeing the popularity in the summer. We created this idea of, hey, a lot of times in the summer, theaters take the summer off just to kind of take a break, to reset, refocus, all that kind of stuff. And I said, since they're going to take time off, let's double our efforts and pick up our, stride a little bit. We went from going one every other week episodes to doing one a week. We called it a summer sizzler. And that took off so well. We had such great reviews from that and such great feedback from that. We just kept it going. And we've been doing one episode a week ever since. And I think that's one thing that has helped get those numbers to over 1,400. And so, again, none of that would be possible if it wasn't for our listeners, our supporters, and our theater partners that have signed on to be a part of this community. And so thank you all for being a part of that. We appreciate all of the engagement that we've gotten from everybody on the Facebook group, on the Facebook site, the page, in our website, all of that stuff. The interaction that we've gotten from people everywhere I go, when I meet groups of people, when I meet casts of shows, whatever, the interactions with those folks are just top notch. Everybody's so thankful. Everyone's so appreciative of what we're doing. And I want to keep that going. Knowing that people appreciate it, knowing that people like what we're doing, and knowing that it's reaching people. I have people on occasion will send me emails, that will send me messages about things that they've heard on the podcast that really touched them, that they really learned something, that they really are growing because of that, and they're finding new places that they want to go to be a part of theater. That's what it's all about. I had an interaction with a lady here a while back from one of the shows, the interviews that I did. Not long after that, she contacted me again and said, hey, do you remember what we talked about in that show? You had mentioned something about someone that you knew was already doing part of that. Do you have that person's contact information? I'd like to reach out to them. I made that connection between those two people, and now there's a new, possibly budding relationship, that working relationship, where that could be growing in between two different theater groups. And that's just something that, that means a lot to me, that I can be a part of something like that. So thank you, everybody, for being a part of that. That, like I said, it means a lot to me, and I know it means a lot to the Oklahoma theater community. So I just wanted to kind of go and kind of recap just some of the things that happened this year as we went along. Again, my introductory episode, if you will, I titled it, well, hello there. It was just kind of putting it out there, what we were going to be doing. And we got a lot of hits off of that. It was great. That was March 28th. And that was when that first came out. The first episode dropped on April 4th, that first weekend. And again, I said that was Joe Mann down in Ardmore. Again, I can't speak highly enough of Joe and the Ardmore Little Theater. such a great group of people down there. Um, yeah. Right after that, I did a little special interview where I got together with the cast and some of the crew of Nonsense that was showing at Show Playhouse in Oklahoma City, and they housed out of Southern Hills United Methodist Church. And we got together and we actually gave away a couple of tickets to see the show. And I also did an interview with the cast and kind of talked to them a little bit about, what their characters meant to them and all that kind of stuff. That was really kind of one of the things that really kind of kicked off the first in-person connection, where I met with people, I talked with them in face to face, went to where they were at. That really kind of laid the seeds for what was coming next. And so I thought that was really good, and I thought that the group there, the cast and all of Nonsense, was just they were great. I love talking with all of them, the sisters, and I would say the sisters. Loosely because a good friend of mine, he actually played one of the sisters and did a phenomenal job. So I thought that was really, really good. So from there, I did another Zoom remote interview where I interviewed the director and several members, principal cast members, as well as the head of marketing and outreach for the Gaslight Theater in Enid. Sorry if I'm stuttering a little bit. I'm doing a lot of things and trying to run this all through my head again. I didn't script any of this. But anyway, the up at Gaslight Theater, the cast for The Great Gatsby. Now, this year marked the 100th anniversary of the book. And so they were putting on the show and actually did a very special patron show for the supporters of Gaslight Theater and all on the anniversary date. And so I thought that was really, really cool. I did a great interview with them. They shared so much, again, just on the insights of the show, what it meant to them, how they felt playing such iconic roles and things like that. And then they were so gracious enough to give us tickets to see the show. My wife and I drove up to Enid, actually spent the night up there and watched the show. It was a great show. They actually invited us to the cast party. I thought that was a great time. I enjoyed hanging out with them. You guys up there, Gaslight, top notch. You guys are top shelf, and you welcome us with open arms, and we really appreciated being a part of that. Seeing that show and being so welcoming up there, it really kind of almost made us feel like celebrities. And believe me, we are certainly not. Following that, I did one of the first, one of the only ones that I did. I called it the End of April Short. And so it was just kind of a little short kind of recap of some things that were going on, some things that were coming up, things like that. So it was just kind of a little catch-up type thing. And kind of letting people know of some shows that were coming up, stuff like that. I would like to do more of those kind of as specials, not necessarily as part of the calendar of events, but but just as little specials plug in here and there about some things that are coming up, maybe at the beginning of the month or end of the month, little reviews of things that happened, some previews of what's coming, and go from there. Then opening the month of May, I met with one of my dear friends, one of the first young actresses I've worked with in Oklahoma City. When I transitioned into Oklahoma City to start acting up there, she and I worked together in the first show that I did in Oklahoma City, which was The Diary of Anne Frank. She played Anne Frank, a young girl by the name of Dylan Howard. She and I have remained friends ever since. I go to support her. She comes to support me a lot of times. And it's a great friendship that we have. She's an extremely talented young lady that is very, very active. And we had a great time. We went to her home. Her mother and father welcomed us into their home. Dylan and I sat and talked for a while. about some of the things that she's doing, the difficulties of being involved in community theater while also being a high school student and being involved in theater in high school as well. And then her mom and dad actually invited us to stay for dinner. We had pizza with the family. Again, great time with her family. Her mom, Robin, and Dylan, I see them at almost every show that I'm in. So I think it's a great time. Those are the lasting friendships and stuff that I was talking about. That these things revolving around community theater, they last, and that's very important. And I think that's one of the things that really was kind of a spurring element of Oklahoma OnStage to begin with, the building of community, the growing connections that we have and keeping those going. After Dylan moved on to what has been one of the biggest impacts for Oklahoma OnStage, and that was going out to Muskogee Little Theater. I got to meet with the executive director out there, my friend Laura Hazen. Laura has been doing this for a long time. She stepped into Muskogee Little Theater when it was a little theater. It was out of a cafeteria at a school, and they grew it, and she stepped in, and this theater has exploded. When this theater transitioned from this cafeteria to its current location, I told Laura, and I've told several other people when I went out there, they have got to remove the little out of their name. I understand tradition and all that other stuff, but there is nothing, absolutely nothing about Muskogee's theater that says little. There's nothing little about it. It is huge, over 200 seats, huge, huge stage, especially for a community theater. It was just amazing. And Laura and I sat and we talked for a long time about MLT and all the things that they're doing there, the community involvement that they've got going on, the summer camps that they have, all of that kind of stuff. And Laura has been very active in communicating with me. She's, again, has pitched her name to be involved with Oklahoma OnStage in the future, and I so look forward to plugging her in. And, it's another one of those relationships that I do consider a friend. From there, we went to another friend that I've worked with recently. He's a relatively newcomer to the Oklahoma community theater scene, and that was Jonathan Scheidegger. Jonathan and I worked together beginning of January, February in the show Julius Caesar that I was assistant directing, and we just kind of hit it off. And so he kind of shared a little bit that, he was involved in theater some time back, took a break because of life, family, whatever, came back, much like I did over the years, and has just recently got plugged back in, and he's doing a great job while holding a job, trying to raise kids and, his married life and all that kind of other stuff. And great things. Again, I'm not going into detail about any of these interviews. I just want to share a little bit about some of these interviews that we've done. You can always go back and listen to them. Hopefully some of the things that I talk about will pique your interest, and then it will cause you to go back and listen to that. And that will kind of maybe help our numbers continue to rise. Just a little plug there. Beginning of June, we jumped in with a gentleman who I had never met before. I had known of him, but I'd never met him, and I was really excited to meet him. And so I sat down with Ed Memorial High School theater teacher and Upstage theater director Patrick Town. And I tell people a lot, and this is kind of funny, that when I start doing this and I sit down with an interview, it's weird because I never know what I'm going to get. I'm interviewing theater people, and you would think that, everything would just be beautiful and artistic and all of this other stuff. But that's not always the case. Some people you can sit down, you ask them, questions, and they just roll off these great answers, and it's amazing. Other people, it's literally you're having to pull answers out of them and urge them, guide them with things. But this interview right here, and this is the one, he's the one that I use when do tell that example. Patrick was one of those that I could have just asked the question and left, because I think he spoke the entire time that we were doing the podcast, and he answered every question that I was going to ask, and he just kept going. He had story after story, and just was amazing. And I was like, this is a theater person right here, because his stories never end. And it was amazing. It was nonstop. He was a great guy. And so if you're interested in being on the podcast, go back and listen to Patrick Towns' episode, and you'll hear what a theater person on a podcast should be like. They just roll with it. Patrick, thumbs up, brother. Following that, in June, I went down to Lawton. I went down to Lawton Community Theater down there. Had never been down to the Lawton Community Theater. I thought it was a great facility. Their theater was really nice. The only problem that they have down there is it tends to flood, and they're in kind of a low-lying area, and that's one of the things that they deal with. So hopefully, with the success that they're having down there, they can find new facilities. I'm hoping. And but I sat with Michael Kidd Harden, who we had a connection, and didn't really fully understand that until afterwards, that we were both connected to the same show through the same company, in different productions of that show. Michael was part of the original cast of Little Women at Storyteller Theater. I was part of year 2. And so it was kind of a connection that we had. And so we talked a little bit about that. We talked about him moving. He was originally from Lawton. He came into Oklahoma City, did a lot of acting and stuff there. It took him back down there for him to become the executive director down at the Lawton Community Theater. And so another great interview that I did down there. Following that, I got to go up north of Oklahoma City to the legendary historic Pollard Theater, and I sat down with Jared Blount and Lars Justice on the set. I actually got to set. We did the interview on stage, in a boat, if you will, on stage in their set for The Shark is Broken. It was a really fun interview. Got to dive a little into the two of them, into the show, the importance of the show, the importance of the historical reference of the Pollard, all of the journey that it's gone through, the struggles that it's had, both with COVID and with damage from storms and things like that, how they've recovered and all of that. It was a good, fun time. If they listen to this, they'll understand that. So following the Pollard interview, I sat down with a very dear friend of mine who spends more time off stage than on, mainly because her primary job, she is a vocal health coach. She works with people, coaching people in acting, in singing, and things like that. But her primary goal is focusing on the health of the voice of performers. And so learned a lot of great stuff for that. Anybody that's listening to this episode, if you are a part of theater, if you are a part of opera, if you are a part of music theater, whatever, I encourage you to go back and listen to Melissa Cam's interview. Melissa is a dear friend of mine. I cherish her and her friendship and her husband, her family. And just listen to the things that we talked about, all the things that we went through. And you can go to her website. You can also find the show notes on her website or on the podcast. And it has some information there that you can download about some of the things she talked about. So some really, really good stuff. From there, we went into the month of July, where we met a man that I've only recently begun to develop a friendship with, right in my hometown of Shawnee, Ryan Corley, who is both on stage and behind the microphone. He does voiceovers as well. And he is also a part of the Air National Guard. And so it was a very, very good time to interview him right at Independence Day. And so it was a great time to interview him. A lot of stuff about him and his journey from becoming a police officer to being a guardsman, how that affected him being on stage, as well as the voiceover work and all that kind of stuff. And so he's recently gone through some changes in his life and could be looking at having the opportunity to do more on stage work in the future, but we'll wait and see how that goes. From there, we went I met her up in Stillwater at Town and Gown Theater, Miss Renee Perry. Renee and I had a really good interview, and I was so impressed with her because at the time I was interviewing her, one, she was directing The Drowsy Chaperone at Gaslight in Enid, while at the same time casting to direct Legally Blonde at Town and Gown in Stillwater. I don't know that I've ever met anyone in all of my years of theater that has ever directed 2 shows at one time. And of course, it was just an overlap. They weren't exactly going on at the same time, but working on the 2 shows to go on the stage at the same time, completely daunting. And she was handling the whole thing with her head held high and a lot of creative ideas. And so Renee, I give you all credit in the world and all respect. From there, I went to interview Elise Eldridge, at the time was representing Co-Arts Theater Company, which is a great theater company. It's relatively new in Oklahoma City. It's been around just a few years. They are focused on new, cutting-edge, out-of-the-box theater right here in Oklahoma. They're looking for new authors. They're looking for new playwrights. They're looking for new talent to bring a new side of theater into Oklahoma. And it was great talking with her. Some of the ideas that she had, that she helped to build this, and she was one of the co-founders of Co-Arts, coming straight out of the University of Oklahoma. Unfortunately for us here in Oklahoma, Elise has decided to take her show to New York. And so Elise has packed her bag. She's headed to the Big Apple to hopefully do some bigger and better things for her. But unfortunately, that means we get to lose that talent here in Oklahoma. So go back and listen to that. And definitely Oklahoma On Stage will be keeping an eye on what Elise is doing in New York. From there, we wrapped up the month of July with a very interesting interview that wasn't kind of in the same foothold as a lot of the others. I interviewed a young lady who was a pageant queen, for lack of a better phrase, but not only just a pageant queen, a very successful one, and still is, by the way. She is currently the Miss Princess of America. I believe I said that right. I'm not sure. I don't know a whole lot about the pageant scene, and so I'm sure during the interview I probably said her title wrong then too. But I interviewed Gabby Williams. Gabby, again, traveling all over the country, promoting her title and her crown. She's been all over the place. She's still all over the place. Following her on Instagram and Facebook, the pictures are constantly popping up from all over the United States, all over the world, and she is going 90-0. But then, not only that, she takes time in the summer to go out to Frontier City and be a stunt person and do the Wild West shows. Really, from pageant queen to stage actress to stunt woman. I mean, come on. The talent that we have here in the state of Oklahoma can't be matched. I mean, come on. But Gabby, amazing. She did an amazing job. I don't know what else to say. Followed that up by another relative newcomer to Oklahoma City Theater, Janie Anafowosi. And yes, I had to practice saying that name. But Janie, again, I met her doing Julius Caesar at the beginning of the year. Just began to talk to her and saw the talent in her. Not only is she a talented actress, I've seen her work multiple times now. She's also a talented stage manager and a budding director. So she's, climbing the ranks through Oklahoma City, and who knows, maybe even branching out into other areas. So take an opportunity to go and listen to her episode. Up next, opening August, or the second week of August, another good friend of mine that I performed with in Oklahoma City, she and I were in Death Trap at the Jewel Box Theater. Shannon Bilieu, I think I said that wrong. I probably didn't, and she's probably going to laugh at me when she hears this, but because I think I struggled with it at the beginning of the episode when we recorded that. But Shannon and I am awed by her talent. We talked at length about the journey that she's taken from Chickasha to Kansas State, back to Oklahoma, made the rounds a lot of different places doing theater. She has done directing, stage managing, all of it. She's a very well-rounded individual. And if you don't recognize her name, she is currently one of the tops for directing in the Oklahoma Broadway World Awards. So Shannon is an amazing job, and I get the wonderful job, or opportunity, I should say, for Shannon to come alongside me and stage manage the production that I will be directing here in just a couple of months. And so I'm very excited to work with her in that area. I followed Shannon up with arguably one of my strongest connections in theater right now. This individual, I've been working with her since I went into Oklahoma City almost a year and a half, 2 years ago now. Brenna Wickstrom. She gave me my first role in Oklahoma City in Diary of Anne Frank. We immediately, her husband Justice and her and I and my wife, we all immediately hit it off, became really good friends. We had them out to our house for dinner. We also met them in town for dinner. We began to talk at length about future visions for theater and all of that kind of stuff and everything. Just enjoyed being around them, and we've grown close. Brenna is an actress, director, writer, illustrator, and of course the co-founder of Storyteller Theater in Oklahoma City. And we talked a lot about where Storytellers came from. It's a brand new theater, only a couple of years old. I think we've officially in season 3 or 4, I think, right now. And Storytellers just opened its brand new theater location. In fact, our latest show, It's a Wonderful Life, had to be moved to a different location because the theater wasn't even ready to put on the show yet. So that's kind of where it's at. So it's definitely a fledgling operation. And the two of them have wonderful visions for theater. They are also launching now Starlight Theater, which is a great offspring of Storytellers, which is basically categorized as children's theater or theater for children by children, or for young adults, young audiences by young adults, something like that. It's young people putting on theater for young people. And they're going to be doing, academy type work with these kids, meeting every Saturday, working with them, teaching, helping them grow, and building them up. And so it's going to be great because not only are the people on stage going to be young people putting on these shows, but the assistant directors, stage managers, assistant stage managers, and things like that are also going to be these same young people. So they're giving them opportunities for leadership roles as well. And so Brenna, it was a great interview as well. It did get cut a little short, and that was a little disappointing, but we were involved with a show at the time, And as we were doing the interview, the kids for the show began to come in, and so kind of interrupted us, and we kind of got worried that they were going to be tearing up the theater that we were renting, and so we kind of had to wrap things up a little sooner than we wanted to. Following that, we had the Ponca Playhouse. I got to drive up to Ponca City and meet some wonderful people up there. I thoroughly enjoyed the layout of their theater. Some a great setup that they have there that could be adjusted to many different layouts, to do in the round, to do a thrust, to do, black box, whatever. There's so many different things that they could do with that, and it was great, and I may be stealing that idea at some point. But great theater up there in Ponca City. From there, I drove out to Tulsa to wrap up the month of August and got to sit down with Travis Guillory at Theater Tulsa. Theater Tulsa is the longest running and operating and running nonprofit theater in the state of Oklahoma. And Travis stepped in and is continuing to keep that going. A lot of great ideas. Primarily, the biggest one that stood out to me is the fact that Theater Tulsa is reaching out and bringing in a lot of newer theaters, giving them time to use their stage, giving them the ability to work together, using resources and time and space and all that kind of other stuff to help these new theaters as they build up. And I think that was just phenomenal. Theater Tulsa has converted an old Family Dollar into their workspace. They have a rehearsal side of it and they have a performance side of it, as well as Theater Tulsa going and putting on shows at the Tulsa Performing Arts Center. So Travis is doing an amazing job up there in Tulsa. I followed that interview up with an end of summer special, and I actually recorded that one all the way over in Italy. I was in Milan at the time, made that recording. It was a lot of fun. So came back from that, jumped right in with an interview with Jenny and Adam Brand, the founders and owners of Theater Crude, which was a great opportunity for me. It's an organization created to provide a creative playground for new artists and writers and directors. They had year-round what they called unconventional shorts, where they would just get together in pubs, and they do a lot down in OKC Cider, and do a lot of stuff like that, where they would just get together and just put on shows, just little short readings and things like that, to what they had coming up after that, which was their annual Fringe Festival, the Theater Crude Fringe Festival that happens every year at the beginning of October. It was a great time getting to know them because I was very interested in being a part of Theater Crude Fringe Festival. And so I wanted to get a little understanding of who they are, what they were doing, what it was all about before I stepped into that. They were very accommodating, very welcoming. We had a great time in the interview. And I learned a lot about what the Fringe festivals were all about. And it was really cool. The next thing was probably one of the most poignant interviews that I did. One of them, I don't know if it was very impactful, but it was revolving around a story that happened at the University of Central Oklahoma. And I don't want to, beat down on the university a lot because they were following their guidelines, doing what they did. As I spoke with another representative of UCO sometime later, we'll talk about him in a minute. There probably could have been a better way to handle it, but these two young ladies, Maggie Lawson and Liberty Welch, had presented to put on a student production there at the University of Central Oklahoma for a grade, part of their part of their curriculum, and had gotten approval, had gotten licensing, all that kind of other stuff to do this show, only to find out to have the legal part of the University of Oklahoma come down and say, based on the not the curriculum, but the subject matter of the play and all that kind of stuff, they weren't going to be able to do it. And so they gave them the option to either find another show, or they could, go on their own way and produce the show themselves. And it was amazing to see the theater community in Oklahoma get behind these two young ladies, support them. They needed to raise, a couple of $1,000s to put the show on, and they raised over 10 grand to put for these girls to put all this on. And I thought it was just amazing. These two girls, very talented in their mindset as far as their vision, what they wanted to see, what they wanted to put on the stage, the idea behind it, why they wanted to do it, all that kind of other stuff. And they even said in the interview, they weren't doing it to make a statement. They were doing it to put on good theater, to address this topic and this show that was a really, really good show. And they just wanted to do it. And so my wife and I went and saw the show when they put it on, and they did a phenomenal job. The show was really, really good, despite all the controversy that was a part of it, or that was surrounding it. I didn't find the show controversial at all. I thought that it was really well done, and I thought the cast did an amazing job, and credit to Upstage Theater for giving them the space and the equipment to use. It was all just a great deal. And so Maggie Lawson and Liberty Welch, great interview back in September. I followed that up by another really, really good interview. I really enjoyed this one. One of my most enjoyable interviews the entire season was with Kelly McLeod Shingen. Probably butchered that one too. But she is the founder and artistic director of WorldStage Theater up in Tulsa. And the name should help say it all. WorldStage. She is entirely 100% focused on international theater. Kelly comes from Chicago. She grew up in Chicago. She went to college, left in her neighborhood, then came back to inner city Chicago to finish her degrees, and ended up going over to London to participate in theater work over there, learning from people from all over the country. She came back, got married, ended up down in Texas. His job brought him to Tulsa, which she followed, and ultimately landed back in theater, and has been a driving force in theater in Tulsa, bringing in some people from around the world to help do theater there at WorldStage, as well as bringing in theater from other places to subject people in Tulsa to other cultures and other parts of theater. To which she brought up during the interview, and I told her, and I stand by it still, I want to be a part of it, that within the next couple of years, she is working to bring about a 1-week international theater festival to the city of Tulsa. I don't know any of the details about that. She said it's still ongoing because there's visas that have to be worked out and all that other stuff. Not really sure all the details again, but I told her I want to be there, and she said that she wants me there to do interviews and put on stuff about the other countries and stuff. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really excited about that. Moved on to one of the shows that was going to be at Theater Crude Fringe Festival, and that was the show Pirates and Clerics and Rangers Oh My. A show that was developed and put on by another good friend of mine, Karina Van Horn, and a cast of individuals who were all experienced, and many of them certified in stage combat. And they all worked together to put on this show that had ties to Dungeons and Dragons, had ties to many other role-playing aspects, fantasy, all of this stuff. They put on a great show at Theater Crude. It was a great, very entertaining aspect of it. And so again, go back and listen to that interview as well. October 10th dropped an episode that I again went down to Ardmore to do an interview with Mr. Nate Durbin. And Nate is, again, a very versatile individual. involved in theater, multi-talented. He's an actor, director, teacher, mentor, MC, a techie, a teacher, all kinds of different things that this guy does. And I don't think there's many things that he can't do. But he's performed on Disney cruise ships. He's been performed with military entertainment groups, also involved with youth theater and all of that. He was truly an amazing interview to talk to hear from. Man, I even learned a few things, and he's like almost half my age. So you're never too old to learn. So Nate was a great, fun time to interview and all of that. So from there, I lost control of my computer. Hold on just a second. There we go. Losing control of everything here. Give me just a second. I will be back in control. Not really sure what's going on with this. Oh, there we go. Okay. I think we've got it now. Sorry about all that. From there, I went back up to Tulsa and set with Melody Coulter Pennington. Sorry. Again, I'm horrible with names, great with faces. And she is the creator of Third Space Society up in Tulsa, which is a improv group, which that's one of the things that I've noticed a huge portion of theater that is blowing up in Oklahoma right now is improv, from OKC Improv here in Oklahoma City to, again, Third Space up in Tulsa and several others. Improv is a big deal. And so if you are a member of Oklahoma Theater, if you are not or have not taken a little bit of improv training, you certainly should. Improv is something that is definitely beneficial to all of our acting careers and everything that we can do, because you never know what can happen on a live stage, and having that improv background can certainly help. Melody shared a lot of information with me, that's stuff that I didn't know, from workshops to open play nights to comedy festivals. And now her and her family have just opened a bookstore up there in Tulsa. So she's doing an amazing things up there. And so if you get a chance to get up to see Third Space, I certainly encourage you to do that. Next up was Scott Hale, UCO Director of Marketing and Communication for the College of Fine Arts and Design. Big title for a job for somebody who promotes theater. And that's really what it broke down to. It was basically, he came from a small town to Oklahoma City. It grew from there, learned about theater and art design, started teaching collegiate theater. Now he's involved with promotions and posters and media and websites and all that kind of other stuff. And so he kind of filled us in on a lot of the things that were coming up at the University of Central Oklahoma, and looking forward to a lot of that stuff. Actually looking forward to talking to Scott again in the future about the University of Central Oklahoma. Next up was Edmond actress Sam Keller. Again, Sam was somebody that I did not know prior to the interview. And so I always kind of like those a little bit, because I'm learning with everybody else. I kind of develop a set of questions that I want to learn from, and that kind of helps me guide through the interview a little bit. And I learned some things along with everybody else. Sam's very multi-talented. She's working in Oklahoma. She's relatively new to Oklahoma theater, and she's working through different places here in Oklahoma City, and as well as working on some stuff on screen. And she's even said in the interview she's hoping to maybe make that into a budding career. And so we wish her all the best in all of that. Next, I went back up to Tulsa area, up to Owasso, and set with Jennifer Hurdle, who is the co-founder and artistic director of Moonshot Productions, a theater company up there. They took a little bit of a break in 2025. They are coming back full speed in 2026. And she was kind of, I mentioned earlier about making the connections. She was the one that was asking about connection to Melody Coulter Pennington and what she was already doing. So wanting to do some more stuff improv related. So that's just some of the great stuff that's going on. Jennifer had some great insight and some things that she's got going on. And I look forward to seeing what Moonshot Production has coming up in 2026. Followed that up by, again, another virtual unknown to me, a young man who has came from Chickasha, moved to Norman, relatively new to Oklahoma City, just now starting out, getting going in Oklahoma City, but a very, very talented young man. I've watched him on stage, now had the chance to work with him recently. His name is Ford Filson. He's an artist, he's an actor, he's a poet, very, very talented man and very passionate about what he does. There's a lot of feeling and a lot of emotion in everything he does, and he's very, very focused on what he does, and I like that. But he had some really good stuff today to say. From there, it was towards the end of November, and we started a 4-part series of the holidays, doing some behind the scenes of some non-traditional Christmas shows. Everybody wanted to do A Christmas Carol. Everybody wants to do It's a Wonderful Life. Everybody wants to do, this Christmas show or that Christmas show. But I wanted to look at things that were maybe a little different. And the first one up from that was Little Women, A Holiday Experience. Again, I mentioned this earlier. This was a show that I've been a part of previously. But they were actually Storyteller Theaters was the first people to say, hey, you're doing Little Women, right? And so I did. I stepped in there with them with almost a brand new cast. There were only like a handful, maybe 3 or 4 people that were returning in their roles. Everybody else in the show was brand new, but it breathed a new life. There was a new excitement on the property. This show takes place at the Harn Homestead, which is a completely open, farm-like atmosphere. And they, it's all outdoors. The show moves around, but this was a whole new cast to go along with this. So it was a really, really good time. My first time doing a large open cast like this, one by one, talking with them, and it was a lot of fun. Maybe doing that again in the future. Who knows? I followed that up with Territorial Christmas Carol, again up at the Pollard in Guthrie. This is probably one of the longest running Christmas shows in Oklahoma, right up there with Lyric's Christmas Carol. But Territorial Christmas Carol is original to Oklahoma, and it was written for the Pollard. And it's really kind of an interesting tale about Charles Dickens making his way across the prairie in Oklahoma. And finds a family, around the Christmas time and begins to tell them the story. And he's telling them the story of his Christmas Carol. So it's an interesting little twist on the Christmas Carol idea. Followed that up, again, going back out to Muskogee Little Theater for A Sherlock Carol. I have to say, one of my now favorite Christmas shows, bar none. I fell in love with this show. After the interview, I fell in love with the cast just by talking with them. Went out to see the show, fell in love with it right off the bat. Love it. I'm hoping that maybe I can get a chance to sink my teeth into this show in the coming years. Followed that. Just a little bit about that show for anybody who's never seen it. It's kind of a blend between Dickens' Christmas Carol and Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's Sherlock Holmes. Kind of blended them together with an interesting little twist. I loved it. The last one of the bunch there was Jane Austen's Christmas Cracker. Again, not your typical Christmas story, and wasn't, as the author and director told me, it wasn't your typical redemption Christmas story. It was just more of a celebration. They were having a party. In the time that they were that the Jane Austen's books were written, New Year's was the biggest party time, and Christmas people just got together. It wasn't really a thing, to really celebrate Christmas. And so she thought, well, why not have Jane Austen just throw a Christmas party and have everybody over and just have a big time? And so she decided to write that, and she did, and it's been a big success, and it's been going now for a while, for 8 years, I believe. So it was really, really interesting. Finally, I've wrapped up my last interview just recently, and you can go and check that out. Many of you probably already have, so it's probably fresh on your mind, was with Isaiah Williams. One of the most versatile individuals that you will ever meet in the Oklahoma theater scene, a man of many hats. He's on stage, off stage, backstage, promotion, even working with the Oklahoma City Parks and Recreation Department to teach theater to underprivileged young people. And I think that's just amazing. So that's kind of a bit of the wrap up that we had this year. I really, again, just have loved talking with everybody, meeting new people, going to all of these theaters. Again, a big shout out to all of the people who have supported us, who've engaged with us online, whether that be on Facebook, Instagram, email, whatever. We really, really appreciate you being a part of this. We would be nothing without all of you. We want to encourage all of the theaters out there as we go into 2026 to be sure and let us know about your schedules. If you have auditions coming up, if you have productions coming up, let us know so that we can put that on our calendar so that we can promote that. I try to make sure that we put out the break-a-legs to all of the theaters for their happy opening nights as they kick off their shows. Also to, let everybody know of shows that are coming up that weekend so they can be involved with local theater. We really want to keep doing that, but we can't do it if we don't know. And so please, if you are part of this community, let us know what you've got going on so that we can let everybody else know what they're doing. Hey, it's free advertising, folks. Come on. We also want listeners to share. Go onto our Facebook page, on our Facebook group, even on our email. Share with us what theater has meant to you in 2025. For some people, man, it was a struggle this year to just keep going. For some other people, it was a breakthrough year for them. And so let us know what theater has meant for you, what it's done for you in this past year as we look forward to 2026. As we wrap up now, again, I say it over and over again, thank you very much. We want to take a moment to encourage everybody to check out our website, oklahomaonstage.org. Also, make sure if you have any comments or questions, be sure and email us at oklahomaonstage@gmail.com. Don't forget, we have a merch store, which you can find a link to on our website. It's just about midway down. I can also, I've put it out several times on our Facebook page and in the private group. Go there and buy some of our merch. That kind of helps promote us. It also gives everybody a sense of community when we do that. There is a shirt on there that I created for a sense of solidarity, a sense of unity. We've had some theater people in our state that have felt threatened, that have been threatened. Some have been attacked. And I wanted to find a way that we could bring all of us together and say, hey, we are all in this together. We are one cast. And that is basically what the shirt says. And I've made the promise then, and I continue to hold to it, that all of the profits that I make from that shirt alone will go to some of these local theaters that are having some of these issues. So please continue to purchase our merchandise, to buy stickers, put them on things, all of that kind of stuff. Don't forget that we are on Facebook. We are on Instagram. All of our episodes are also on YouTube. So you can share those, you can promote those, all of that. One thing I do want to say is that the last couple of months, our newsletter has kind of slipped off the plate. That's on me. That's my fault. Schedules and things like that have just been struggling. And so, however, I will say this, that the newsletter is coming back for season 2. So keep that in mind. Also, let me throw this out there as I've put it out there a couple of times on Facebook. If you are interested in being a part of our Oklahoma OnStage team, if you'd like to come alongside us and maybe help write stories for the newsletter, maybe help to write some reviews or previews of some shows, things like that. Or if you'd like to come along and maybe, who knows, maybe be part of the production team for the podcast, let me know. I really want this to be a community, and I want people to be a part of this. And honestly, as this grows, as this continues to get bigger, I'm not going to be able to do it on my own, and I'm really going to need theater people to help me do theater work. So thank you. Again, thank you to everyone who's been a part of this. Thank you to everyone who's supported this. Thank you to everybody who has commented, who has supported, any of that stuff. Just thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't say it enough. All of my guests that have been a part of this, thank you for taking the time to be a part of this, to let me interview you. I've enjoyed each and every one of you. I consider you all dear friends now. I hope that we can continue that friendship along the way. As we say goodbye to 2025, here's to another year of creativity, community, and standing ovations across the state of Oklahoma. And no matter, as I sign off every time, no matter what you do, continue to support the arts.
Welcome, friends, to a world so bright, where spotlights shine and dreams take flight. From the prairie winds to the city's glow, Oklahoma theater steals the show. Oklahoma OnStage, the stories come alive. With drama, dance, and music, the arts always thrive. From center stage to backstage lore, Oklahoma OnStage, there's always something more. We'll take you to the showstoppers grand, from small town troops to the Broadway bands. Behind the curtains where magic begins, every tale of triumphs, every twist and spins ends. Oklahoma OnStage, the stories come alive. With drama, dance, and music, the arts always thrive. From center stage to backstage lore, Oklahoma OnStage, there's always something more. Hear the echoes, the laughter, the tears, decades of passion through all these years. The actors, the makers, the dreamers,